Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov Chess Channel, and welcome back to the FIDE World Chess Championship match in 2024. We're now already in the round 13 of this amazing chess event, which means after this round 13, we'll see only one more classical time format game. If both of these games, now the round 13 and round 14, end with a drawish result, we'll see additional rapid games, additional tiebreak games between Ding Liren and Gukesh Dommaraju. Today, Ding played with the black pieces, and Gukesh played with the white pieces. And again, French defense was on the board, which was really crazy. I think it was a huge decision by Gukesh today to play again e4, the first move against Ding, because it didn't quite work out well for Gukesh when Ding played the French defense. And we know that already in the round one, Gukesh lost with the white pieces against Ding in the French defense, and also in the other game, I would say Ding was much better, had more chances to do something. So let's see now this outcome of this round 13 in a crazy again Steinitz variation of the French defense. So Gukesh played with the move e4. As I said, brave decision, I would say, because somehow it didn't simply work out for him. We have here now the move e6 by Ding, d4, d5, and after move knight to c3, the Paulson variation, knight to f6. We have now the classical variation, and after move e5, we're now in the so-called Steinitz variation of the French defense. We have knight to d7, and now again, Gukesh goes for this interesting sideline with knight to e2. The idea is clear, of course. We want to here fix the structure with the move c3. The downside about this line, we have also discussed it in the round one, is that the knight is temporarily blocking out here the light square bishop's activity. So the bishop is supposed to, in many lines, to be on this active square from d3. It can, of course, control both diagonals. Now, when you play g3, bishop to g2, it's really not on the optimal diagonal. But of course, the good part about this move knight to e2, that you probably fix really the structure with the move c3, and then you have a nice grip of pawns on dark squares. We have now c5. Ding immediately attacks now the weak d4 square. We have now c3, knight to c6, and now a3. Very interesting also now sidelined by Gukesh, because he's trying now to play the move b4. The move b4 would solve many tactical problems here on the queen side, and Ding plays again a calm line, plays first of all bishop to e7. We have now bishop to e3, a theoretical novelty now by Gukesh already in round 8. I think now Gukesh want to play something that he has probably prepared with his seconds. But after bishop to e3, I think here Ding didn't even react in the most optimal way. What Ding should have done is to play the move a5. You have to prevent this idea with b4. For instance, if knight to f3 happens, then you can play a4, and then you go maybe with queen to b6 and hit now the weak pawn on b2. Queen to b6 immediately wouldn't be so good for white because of this move b4 that we have discussed, and white will solve now many tactical problems. You maybe take out this one. Now the structure is really cemented. Even if you try to be aggressive here with a5, we can even play b5, queen to b5, and now knight to c3 kicks away the queen. Bishop to d3 will happen, knight to f3, all down the pawn. White would then have a great activity with his pieces. Here the bishops would be crossing all over the board, so it's, I think, here a great game for white. So that's why for bishop to e3, I think Ding should have prepared this line with a5, and then as we mentioned, a4, and then to go with queen to b6, and then go for the weakness on b2, which was in his first game actually his main plan. I'm not sure why here Ding deviated so much from the standard preparation against the sideline of Gukesh when he played the first move knight to e2. So, but okay, here after bishop to e3, we have knight to b6 by Ding. We have knight to f4, c takes d4, we have c takes d4, and you see now the whole concept with queen to b6 is not working because the knight is standing in the way of the queen. The knight has taken now the natural square for the queen, the square b6, and here Ding plays an interesting sideline, knight to c4, and after this move knight to c4, believe me or not, white is already much better. Here Ding missed somehow the opening preparation after bishop to c4 that Gukesh played. I would say this is a perfect position here for white, because here in this particular moment Gukesh had an immediate chance to attack, at least to have some attacking chances, but he missed it somehow. Here Gukesh played a slightly passive knight to e2, which wasn't really the best of ways. Here he could have gone immediately with queen to g4, and I guarantee you Black will not have fun in this particular game. Even if you try, I don't know, something like queen to a5, then you can cover. Maybe again with queen to b6, hitting now both of these pawns, the pawn on b2 and also the pawn on d4. But then white can simply pick up this one. And for instance, you try rook to f8, then you play a calm, I don't know, knight to e2. Maybe you can lose now this pawn in the center of the board. But now after bishop to e3 and queen to b2, you just play a calm kingside castling. And although you lost the pawn here, in this tactical sequence, um, I would not love to play this game anymore from Black's perspective, because the king is naked, the king is in the center of the board, the knight will eventually come into the game. We can grab maybe this pawn, we can also attack the rook with bishop to h6 maybe later, rook to d1 could happen, even prevent here Black from castling on the queen side. So this wouldn't be really a great continuation here for Black, I would say. Even if you don't try, I don't know, queen to a5 here to go into this line, what you could do maybe is now to play the move g6 after a potential queen to g4 move here by Gukesh, but then knight from g to e2 is, I think, finally working. You have a protection of the d4 square. Even if you attack the position further, then white can go again with the calm castling, allow even here queen takes b2, but then the rook is coming into the game. So I think so far Gukesh has missed already many chances to play sort of a gambit line where he would sacrifice maybe a pawn, but then he would have a great activity. And then after something like, I don't know, queen to c, you attack the queen. You don't want to, of course, trade off the queens here. After queen to f5, g5 is not possible. g4 would happen, would even trap the queen in some line. So I just wanted to demonstrate the power really of this line after queen to g4 that Gukesh probably should have played. I'm not saying, of course, that Black is losing or something immediately, but this wouldn't be, I think, such a great game here for Ding Liren. But okay, after d takes c4, we have now knight to e2, which gives here Ding the opportunity to play now also a very nice move, b5, and then the bishop is coming, of course, on b7. And you see now, because white gave up now in the early stage of the game, the bishop for knight, now sadly also Black has some great chances to attack the position. We have a castling by Gukesh, castling also by Ding, and now knight to c3. Good move again here by Gukesh, trying to attack the pawn on b5 and in some lines to break and enter with the move d5, because in this line the slightly disadvantage in Black's position, in White's position, is that you have this backward pawn, this pawn that could be attacked by Black. The d4 pawn is, I think, now something that bothers, of course, Gukesh in the continuation of the game. Rook to b8, Ding protects now the pawn. We have knight to h5, Gukesh goes for the attack. He's trying now maybe to play the move queen to g4, but now Ding plays, I think, the correct defensive idea, plays now a very important f5. Gukesh takes, we have here bishop to f6 by Ding, and now Gukesh plays, I think, his first tiny little inaccuracy, which brings Ding, I think, back into the game, queen to f3. So far, I think White was again slightly better in this position. The pawns are somehow disconnected of Black's. The bishop is so far not participating in the game. So queen to f3 was risky, because here Ding, I think, had immediately a chance to play here knight to d4. Knight to d4 would immediately equalize the game here for Black. Then after knight to f6, rook to f6, you can maybe try, I don't know, queen to h5. Knight to c2 is not so good because of rook to d1, but actually you could play a calm rook to f5, you attack the queen, and now with e5 you could cement the knight further. Again, I think this is a pretty equalish line, but this was the way to go, I think, here for the game, to simplify the game. And this is perfect setup also here for both sides. But okay, instead of knight to d4, Ding tried here queen to e8, protected now his pawn, but also protects now the knight on c6. We have now knight takes f6, rook to f6, queen to e2, queen to g6 here by Ding. Ding is trying further to attack somehow the light scores. Tries, of course, also to bring now finally the light square bishop into the game. But in this whole messed position, I would say, Black is also something now to worry about. Black is now the weakness on e6, which bothers now, of course, Ding in the continuation of the game. White has a weakness here because of this isolated pawn on d4. We have now f3 by Gukesh. Good move, trying, of course, to play bishop to f2, still stay connected to the pawn, maybe also try to change the direction of the attack by the dark square bishop, but then attack, then further maybe put more pressure against this pawn on e6. We have now rook to f8, rook from a to d1, which is, I think, again, a pretty equalish position, but now Ding, I would say, makes now his first important inaccuracy in the game. He plays now the move knight to e7, and this move is actually disconnecting now the knight from the defense of the rook. The rooks are not connected anyway, and Gukesh finds now the best idea, I would say, here to keep somehow the attack. He plays now brilliant bishop to f4. Great move, and from this point on, I think white should be better because you cannot pick up here the bishop on f4. You get this one, queen to e5. You attack now both of these pieces, and this should be game over here for black. So that's why for bishop to f4, Ding had to play now rook to b6. Gukesh continues now with an attack against the rook, rook to b7, and now bishop to d6. And this move is really, really great. This move is simply the best positional idea here. The idea about this move bishop to d6 is in some lines to play bishop takes e7, then you go with knight to e4, and then you go with your knight on c5. And when the knight is fixed on c5, the knight would be actually much better than black's light square bishop, because when the knight is fixed on c5, there's simply no other piece that could attack any more than knight on c5 from the dark square, because black doesn't have any more the dark square bishop on the board. So here after rook to e8, Gukesh plays maybe a tiny little inaccuracy here with bishop to e7 immediately. A better choice is immediately to play rook to e1, and then after something like a5 you can now try this one, bishop to e7, rook to e7, and then with knight to e4, knight to c5. This would be a brilliant setup here for white. Even if you try after rook from f to e1 to play knight to f5, still you can stay connected here with your bishop here on dark squares. Then you try maybe then afterwards knight to e4 in some lines, or you can maybe try bishop to b4. Then again this idea knight to e4, knight to c5, and I think this would be perfect again position for white. I'm not saying this position is also losing for black, but it wouldn't be a pleasant game here for Ding for sure. Bishop to e7 is maybe not the optimal way here to proceed for white immediately, but still I would say white is better, because after rook to e7, queen to d5, queen to e5, again white has the opportunity to fix the piece here on c5, and I think again an optimal position here for white. We have now a6, now Gukesh goes with the d5, we have now e takes d5, and now queen takes d5. We have queen to e6. Ding is now desperately trying to simplify the game by trading off the queens, but good choice here by Gukesh is not allowing that queen to c5, and now finally he's trying to get the knight back into the game. Look at this, knight to e4, then maybe rook to d6. Again, I think it's much easier to play now the game from white's perspective, and temporarily this bishop is really bad. It's locked by its own pieces here. The bishop cannot move here, cannot move here, so it gives here Gukesh extra time to activate the knight, activate of course the rook on the e file. So again, I would say, although maybe Gukesh didn't play the optimal line, again an unpleasant position here to handle for Ding Liren. After rook to e8, we have now rook from d to e1, and now comes really the critical moment of this game. Here, Ding didn't react correctly. Here, Ding had to play queen to e1 and go simply for this trade where you give up here the queen, but you gain two rooks. And now after rook to e8, knight to e4, still I would say a very unpleasant position to handle here for black, because knight to g5 could happen, knight to d6 could happen. So again, black would be on the defensive side, but at least you're surviving the position somehow. But after rook to e1, what the Ding played is actually queen to f7, and this move is such a big mistake, which gives here, I would dare to say, Gukesh even an immediate winning position, because what Gukesh should have played is a simple rook takes e8. But I'm not sure what happened here to Gukesh. He was low on clock in this particular position. You see, he was around 30 minutes on the clock. Probably he missed some calculations here, because rook to e8 would be really brilliant, because after queen takes e8, you bring now finally the knight into the game. Knight to d6 is now a huge threat. You're trying maybe rook to d7, but now knight to d6 anyway. For instance, the queen has to step back. Now you play check. Now you play another check. Look at this. This would be really bad position here for Ding. King to g8. Now you play new check. Now you finally bring the rook into the game. Rook to d4, rook to f4 is the main attacking goal. White would probably be bothered by this idea, rook to c7, but now you just bring the queen here, again, maybe in this tactical sequence, rook to d4, rook to f4, and I'm not seeing any good ways how black is going to defend this position. So huge opportunity here for Gukesh to win even the game before the time control. But what Gukesh did after queen to f7, he played now knight to e4, and this is not good. Now Ding found the only defensive idea. Every other move is, I think, completely winning for white, and Ding plays, of course, the correct rook to f8. He's controlling now further the f7 score because we saw knight to d6 followed with queen to d5 could be very dangerous, where you could also prepare this smothered mate ideas. So now after rook to f8, pardon me, after rook to f8, here Ding controls further the f7 score, so he has now finally a good defensive setup in front of his king. So knight to d6, of course, here by Gukesh, the fork, but it's not working because of a rook to c7, a great counterattack here by Ding. Queen to e5, we have queen to f6, queen to d5, and now king to h8. Now we have a pretty equal position again. Gukesh, I think, missed his chances to somehow win the game. Rook to e5, rook to e7, now rook to e1. Ding simplifies further the game by trading off the rooks. We have now h6, creating, of course, some breathing spaces for the king. We have queen to c5, bishop to d7, and now knight to e4. The knight is well placed, but it doesn't bring you so much because now, again, Ding finds the best way how to be aggressive, at least against white's king, at least some kind of a counterattack, at least also white has to something to worry about. After queen to f4, rook to e7, bishop to f5, now finally the bishop is activated, finally Ding can play with all of his pieces on the board, which in this previous case wouldn't be really the scenario because I think Gukesh missed somehow to attack further the position. But now it's just an open game where the bishop is now finally a good piece. We have now queen to d4, rook to g8, good move again. Here by Ding protecting simply the g7 weakness. We have now h3, queen to c1 check, trades of pieces. Now the position is too simplified in order to make anything here. And now Ding plays even a calm c3 here, which is really crazy. He gives up now even a pawn, but Ding is, of course, a very strong player. He knows that even in this line, it's a pretty equal position. Even if you try, I don't know, queen takes c3, then after queen takes c3, b takes c3, then this rook is coming into the game. Even if you try to protect it, then rook to f5, and then in one particular moment you play a5, b4, trade off everything. And even though maybe white has here a 3 versus 2 situation on the king side, if these pawns on the queen side are traded off, even with this extra pawn, white cannot simply win this endgame. So after b takes c3, queen takes a3, king to g3, queen to b3, preventing some maybe dangerous stuff with rook to e6, and then go maybe with rook to h6, trying is also to deliver checkmate. After queen to b3, we have now rook to e7, here by Gukesh, a5, a good move here by Ding, simply pushing the pawn further. Gukesh goes behind his pawns. Now queen to e5, queen to c6. Now here, Ding gave up a pawn, of course, but it doesn't matter. Even if he loses this pawn, it doesn't matter. As we said, we have the situation where 3 versus 2 are coming here on the king side, but this is an endgame that white simply cannot win. If maybe white would have this extra pawn somewhere here, and maybe this pawn would be supported somehow by the rook, then it would be a different story, but not in this endgame. This now completely draw position. Rook to h2, we have king to g3, king to h7, the rook is coming. Of course, Ding goes now closer with the king towards the center. Gukesh is trying to push the pawns, king to g4, rook to a3. We have now h4, rook to c3, we have rook to b6, king to f7, f5, and now good move, I would say, here by Ding again. Even if you pick up this one, then this one is lost. Again, it's a drawish position. So here, that's why after h5, king to f4 by Gukesh, but now, first of all, the checks, and after a couple more moves, we have now a repetition of moves, and both players agree to a draw. So, what you say about this game? First of all, I would say it's a huge decision that Gukesh is playing e4 again, because it did work out for him against the French defense, but I think he outplayed today Ding's opening choice. But then afterwards, I think Gukesh missed his chances probably he will be bothered about this draw today, because it was a huge chance to somehow win the game again, force a reaction by Dingen in the game 14. If Gukesh can calm down tomorrow's game and hope for a draw, it would be then, I think, again, a great battle. But who knows what will happen. We saw that Ding tried now also in the last game to attack Gukesh with the white pieces, and Gukesh didn't react correctly. Ding got back into the event. So today, I think, tomorrow, I think Gukesh has to search for a simplified line for a solid draw, and then hope to go into additional tiebreak games in the rapid games against Ding Liren. So, okay, huge opportunity for Gukesh. He missed his chances today. If you want to see some other beautiful chess games that we have covered here from this event, here are some links of some games that we have analyzed before. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.